The stars looked peaceful through the large windows of the stellar dawn. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the endless black of space. His ship was 3 days out from Earth, carrying 200 passengers on a luxury cruise. To the outer colonies, families laughed in the dining halls. Children played in the game rooms. Old couples danced in the ballroom. It was a good life out here among the stars. "Captain, I'm getting something strange," said Lisa Banks from her communication station. She was young, maybe 25, with short red hair and sharp green eyes. She had been working the communications for 2 years and knew her job well. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" Lisa touched her earpiece and frowned. "It's not on any of our normal channels. The signal is very weak. And, sir, I don't think it's human." The bridge went quiet. First Officer Danny Price looked up from his navigation charts. Chief Engineer Carl Mason stopped checking his power readings. Even the cleaning robot seemed to pause in its work. "Put it on speaker," Jake said. Static filled the bridge. Then came sounds that made everyone's skin crawl. It was like nothing they had ever heard before. High whistles mixed with deep groans. Sometimes it sounded like music. Sometimes it sounded like screaming. "Dr. Hayes to the bridge," Jake said into his comm unit. "We need you up here right now." Dr. Alan Hayes was the ship's expert on alien languages. He was a thin man with gray hair and thick glasses. He had studied every known alien language in the galaxy, but there were not many. Humans had only met 3 other species, and they were all far away. Alan rushed onto the bridge with his computer tablet. "What do we have?" "Listen to this," Lisa said, playing the signal again. Alan's eyes went wide. He sat down at an empty station and started typing fast. "This is incredible. I've never heard anything like this before. The patterns are complex. Very complex. Give me a few minutes." Jake watched the old man work. Alan's fingers flew over his keyboard. Numbers and symbols filled his screen. The strange sounds played over and over again. "Sir," said Danny Price, "should we report this to Earth Command?" "Not yet," Jake said. "Let's see what we have first." 20 minutes passed. Alan was sweating now. His glasses kept sliding down his nose. Finally, he looked up. "Captain, I think I have something. It's not perfect, but I can understand parts of it." "What does it say?" Alan's voice was shaking. "It's a distress call. They're asking for help. They say their world is under attack. They're going to die soon." The bridge was silent, except for the hum of the ship's engines. "There's more," Alan said. "They mentioned something called the Crimson Armada. It sounds like a group of warships. And Captain, they say they've sent this message to everyone they can reach. But nobody has answered." Jake felt his stomach drop. "How long do they have? 3 days? Maybe less. They keep saying the same thing over and over. We die with honor, but we hoped someone would care." Lisa was crying now. She tried to hide it, but everyone could see. "Captain, we have to do something." "We're a passenger ship," Danny said. "We don't have weapons. We don't have soldiers. We have families on board." "I know," Jake said. But his mind was racing. He had served in the Earth Navy for 15 years before taking this job. He knew what it meant to hear a distress call. You answered. That was the rule. You always answered. "Dr. Hayes, can you get coordinates from that signal?" "I think so. Yes, here they are." Alan sent the numbers to the navigation station. Danny looked at his charts. "Captain, that's 2 days away at maximum speed. We'd have to push the engines hard." "Can Carl's engines handle it?" Carl Mason was a big man with grease under his fingernails. He had been working on ships for 30 years. "I can make her fly, Captain, but I can't make her fight." Jake looked around the bridge. These people trusted him. 200 passengers. trusted him. He was supposed to keep them safe. Take them on a nice trip. Show them the stars. Not fly into a battle. Sir, Lisa said quietly, they're still broadcasting. They haven't given up. Jake closed his eyes. He thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was 8 years old. What would he tell her if she asked why he didn't help when people were dying? All hands, this is the captain, he said into the ship's communication system. Please report to the main ballroom. We need to have a meeting. 30 minutes later, 200 people filled the ballroom. Families sat together. Old people held hands. Children looked around with wide eyes. Jake stood on the small stage where the band usually played. Ladies and gentlemen, we have received a distress call from an unknown alien species. They are under attack and asking for help. No one else has responded to their call. The room buzzed with whispers. I want to be clear, Jake continued. This is not a military ship. We are not soldiers. If we go to help these people, we might all die. But if we don't go, they will certainly die. An old woman stood up. Her name was Betty Wright, and she had been a Marine colonel before retiring. Captain, what do these aliens look like? We don't know, Jake said. We've never seen them before. Are they dangerous? We don't know that either, Betty nodded. But they're asking for help. Yes. Then we go, she said. We're humans. We help people. A man with 2 young children stood up. My kids didn't sign up for a war. Neither did those aliens, said a woman near the back. But they're dying anyway. The room erupted in discussion. Voices rose. Some people were scared. Others were angry. But slowly, something amazing happened. One by one, people began to stand up. I vote we go, said a young man. Me too, said an elderly couple. Count us in, said a family with 3 teenagers. Soon, almost everyone was standing. Jake looked out. At the crowd, these were not soldiers. They were teachers and shopkeepers and grandparents. They were ordinary people who had decided to do something extraordinary. All in favor of responding to the distress call? Jake asked. 200 hands went up. Carl, get us to maximum speed, Jake said into his comm. Lisa, keep monitoring that signal. Alan, see if you can learn more about these aliens. As the Stellar, Dawn changed course and jumped to hyperspace. Jake wondered what they would find at the end of their journey. He hoped they would be able to help. He hoped they would all survive. But mostly, he hoped they were doing the right thing. The stars streaked past the windows as the luxury cruise ship raced toward an unknown world and an uncertain fate. In the depths of space, the alien distress call continued to broadcast, growing weaker with each passing hour. The stellar dawn shook as it flew through hyperspace at dangerous speeds. In the engine room, Carl Mason watched his readings with worried eyes. The ship was not built for this. Luxury cruise ships were meant to fly slowly and smoothly. But Carl was pushing every system to its limits. How are we doing, Carl? Jake asked over the comm. She's holding together, Captain. But I don't know for how long. We're running the engines at 120%. That's not safe. Just keep us flying, Jake said. We'll worry about repairs later. All over the ship, people were working. The luxury cruise liner was turning into something else. Something that could help. Dr. Susan Park had taken over the ballroom. She was a doctor, but she usually just treated seasickness and small cuts. Now she was setting up a real medical center. Tables became beds. The bar became a supply station. The dance floor became an operating room. I need more blankets, she called to anyone who would listen. And all the first aid kits you can find. Passengers brought everything they had. Sheets from their rooms, pillows from the lounges, even the fancy tablecloths from the dining room. Susan looked at the makeshift hospital and hoped it would be enough dot in another part of the ship. Rick Turner was teaching people how to fight. Rick had been a Navy pilot before he retired. He knew about combat, but most of the passengers did not. Remember, he told a group of 20 people, "We're not trying to win a war. We're trying to buy time. Hit and run. Get in, do damage, get out." Betty Wright nodded. The old Marine colonel was helping Rick train the passengers. "These people have never been in a real fight," she said quietly, "but they have heart. That counts for something." A 12-year-old girl named Amy Chun sat at a computer terminal. She was supposed to be in med, but no one was watching the children very closely anymore. Amy was good with computers. She played strategy games all the time. Now she was trying to help the ship's computer systems work better. "I think I can make the shields stronger," she told her parents. "It's just like the game Star Commander. You reroute power from the engines to the defensive systems." Her father looked worried. "Amy, this isn't a game." "I know, Dad, but the math is the same." Maria Santos was in the communications room with Lisa Banks. Maria was a language expert, like Dr. Hayes, but she specialized in first contact situations. She had never actually met an alien before, but she had studied every theory about how to talk to them. "The signal is getting clearer," Lisa said. "I think we're getting closer." "Good," Maria said. "Dr. Hayes, are you learning anything new?" "Alan." Hayes looked up from his computers. His eyes were red from staring at screens for hours. "These aliens are called the Kethmari. They're a peaceful species. They trade with other worlds. They've never fought a war. What about this Crimson Armada?" Maria asked. "From what I can understand, they're a group of different alien species. They attack worlds and take slaves. They've destroyed dozens of civilizations." Jake's voice came over the comm. "All senior staff to the bridge. We're dropping out of hyperspace." The bridge was crowded when everyone arrived. Through the main screen, they could see normal space again. But it was not empty. There were ships everywhere. Small ships, flying fast and scared. "Those are refugee ships," Denny Price said, studying his sensors. "They're running from something." "Captain," Lisa said, "I'm getting transmissions from those ships. They're terrified. Can you understand them?" "Dr. Hayes is working on it. But, Captain, they're not transmitting to us. They're transmitting to each other. They're warning each other about something." "About what?" Alan Hayes looked up from his translation work. "About us, Captain. They're warning each other about humans." The bridge went quiet. "What are they saying?" Jake asked. "They're calling us Deathworlders. They say we come from a world so dangerous that it kills most visitors. They say we're monsters who eat our own wounded and breathe poison." Rick Turner laughed. "Eat our own wounded? That's ridiculous." "Is it?" Alan asked. "Think about it. We come from Earth. Our atmosphere is 21% oxygen. Most aliens find that poisonous. Our gravity is stronger than most worlds. Our weather includes storms that can destroy cities. We have predators that hunt in packs. We have diseases that kill. To most aliens, Earth really is a death world. But we're not monsters," Susan Park said. "No," Alan said, "but they don't know that. To them, we're legends. Scary stories parents tell their children." "Captain," Lisa said, "one of the refugee ships is trying to communicate with us. Put it on screen." The main screen flickered. Then they saw their first alien. It was small, maybe 4 feet tall. Its skin looked like crystal, and it had 6 eyes. When it spoke, its voice was high and musical. "Dr. Hayes?" Jake asked. "It's asking if we're really human," Alan said. "It wants to know if we're here to help or to hunt." Jake stepped forward. "Tell it we're here to help," Alan translated. The alien's 6 eyes went wide. It spoke rapidly. What did it say? Jake asked. It said, the Deathworlders came. The legends are true. Maybe there is hope. Over the next hour, more refugee ships approached. The aliens were all the same species, the Kethmari. They were small and fragile-looking, with crystal skin and multiple eyes. They moved gracefully, like dancers. Maria Santos was the first human to actually go aboard an alien ship. She took a small team with her. The Kethmari were terrified at first. They had heard stories about humans for years, but they had never expected to meet one. They're beautiful, Maria told Jake over the comm. And they're so scared. Not just of us, but of what's happening to their world. What can they tell us about the Crimson Armada? 12 ships, massive, each one can destroy a continent. They, Kethmari, have never seen weapons like these. Their own ships are built for trade, not war. Jake looked at the refugee ships on his screen. There were maybe 50 of them. Each one carried a few hundred aliens. It was all that was left of their civilization. Captain, Denny Price said, I'm picking up something on long-range sensors. It's big, very big. The Armada? I think so. They're about 6 hours away from the Kethmari homeworld. Jake made a decision. Set course for their homeworld. Maximum speed. Sir, Betty Wright said, what exactly are we going to do when we get there? We have one ship. They have 12. I don't know, Jake said honestly, but we're going to do something. As the Stellar Dawn flew deeper into Kethmari space, word spread among the refugee ships. The humans were coming. The Deathworlders were going to face the Crimson Armada. Some of the Kethmari thought the humans were insane. Others thought they were heroes. But all of them had the same question. What could one ship do against 12? Jake wondered the same thing. But he remembered something his old Navy commander had told him. Sometimes you don't fight to win. Sometimes you fight because it's the right thing to do. The Stellar Dawn raced through space, carrying 200 humans toward an impossible battle. Behind them, the Kethmari refugee ships followed, hoping against hope that the legends about. The Deathworlders were true dot in the distance. The Crimson Armada waited. 12 massive ships, each one a fortress of death. They had destroyed civilizations before. They expected to destroy this one too, but they had never faced humans before. Had never faced a species that considered impossible odds to be just another challenge. They had never faced the children of Earth. The Stellar Dawn dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kethmari system. What Jake saw on the main screen made his blood run cold. The planet below was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. But it was surrounded by death. 12. Massive ships hung in space like dark metal moons. Each one was 3 times the size of the Stellar Dawn. Red beams of energy shot down from the ships, hitting the planet's surface. Where the beams touched, the ground turned to glass. Cities died in seconds. My God, whispered Denny Price. They're killing everything. Captain, Lisa said, her voice shaking, I'm getting a transmission from the lead ship. Put it on screen. The main screen flickered. A face appeared that made everyone on the bridge step back. It was reptilian, with golden scales and burning. Red eyes. Sharp teeth filled its mouth. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding metal. I am Admiral Zexter of the Crimson Armada. You have entered a combat zone. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Jake stepped forward. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Stellar Dawn. We're here to help the Kethmari. The alien admiral laughed. It was a horrible sound. Humans? The famous Deathworlders? I thought you were just stories told to frighten children. We're real, Jake said. And we're asking you to stop attacking this world. Zexter's eyes glowed brighter. Stop? Why would I stop? We have come to harvest this world. The Kethmari will make excellent slaves. Their crystal skin is quite valuable. These are people, not property. People, they are weak. They cannot fight. They exist only to serve the strong. Sexter leaned forward. But you ... you are different. I have heard stories about your kind. They say you come from a world of death. They say you are warriors without equal. We're not warriors, Jake said. We're just people who believe in helping others. Fascinating. Tell me, Deathworlder, what do you think one small ship can do against my entire armada? Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was scared, but determined. Danny was checking his weapon systems. Carl was ready to push the engines again. Dr. Hayes was still working on translations. These people had come so far already. I challenge you, Jake said, the alien. Admiral's eyes went wide. Challenge me? To what? Single combat. Your fleet against my ship. If we win, you leave this system and never come back. If you win ... double quotes Jake swallowed hard. You get our ship and everyone on it. Zexter laughed again. You are either very brave or very stupid. Very well, Deathworlder. I accept your challenge. But know this, when we are done with you, we will still take the Kethmari. Your sacrifice will change nothing. The transmission ended. The bridge was silent. Captain, Danny said quietly, what's the plan? Jake looked at the tactical display. 12 enemy ships surrounded them. Each one had more firepower than 100 stellar dawns. The odds were impossible. We fight, he said. But not the way they expect. Sir? Lisa asked. They think this is going to be a ship-to-ship battle. Big guns shooting at each other until someone dies. But that's not how humans fight. We adapt. We improvise. We find another way. Jake opened a channel to the entire ship. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to begin the hardest fight of our lives. But remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. We're fighting because it's right. The Crimson Armada began to move. The 12 massive ships formed a circle around the Stellar Dawn. Energy weapons powered up. Missile launchers opened. They were ready to destroy the human ship in minutes. But Jake had other plans. Amy, he said to the 12-year-old girl who was still at a computer terminal. Can you really make our shield stronger? Yes, Captain. But only for a few minutes. Then they'll burn out. That's all we need. Do it. Amy's fingers flew over the keyboard. The ship's shields began to glow brighter. Carl, how many shuttlecraft do we have? 8, Captain. Small ones meant for sightseeing trips. Load them with volunteers. I want teams of 5 in each shuttle. Sir, those shuttles don't have weapons. They don't need weapons. They just need to get close. Rick Turner understood first. You want to board their ships. Exactly. They're expecting a space battle. They're not expecting us to come aboard and fight room by room. Betty Wright smiled. The old Marine colonel was beginning to see the plan. Hit-and-run tactics. Classic human warfare. Dr. Hayes, Jake said, what can you tell us about their ships? From what I can understand from the Kethmari transmissions, they're massive, but not well defended inside. They rely on their big guns to keep enemies away. Perfect. Susan, I want medical teams ready. Maria, I want you to keep talking to any Kethmari ships that are still in the system. Tell them to stay back. The first attack came without warning. A red beam of energy hit the Stellar Dawn's shields. The ship shook, but Amy's modifications held. Now, Jake shouted. 8 shuttlecraft launched from the Stellar Dawn at the same time. They flew in different directions, moving fast and unpredictably. The Crimson Armada's big guns tried to track them, but the shuttles were too small and too quick. Shuttle 1 to Stellar Dawn, came Rick Turner's voice. "We're approaching the enemy flagship. Shuttle 3 here," said Betty Wright. "Moving toward the second ship." "Shuttle 7, said Tony Rodriguez, the maintenance worker. "I can see their docking bay. It's not even defended." Jake watched the tactical display. The shuttles were tiny dots moving toward the massive enemy ships. It looked impossible. But Jake knew something the aliens didn't. Humans had been fighting impossible battles for thousands of years. "First shuttle is docking," Lisa reported. "They're boarding the enemy ship." On the main screen, they could see flashes of light inside the alien vessels. The humans were inside, fighting their way through the corridors. "Captain," Nanny said, "the enemy ships are trying to fire on each other. They're trying to stop our people, but they might hit their own ships. Good. Keep them confused." More shuttles reached their targets. Soon, humans were fighting inside 6 of the 12 enemy ships. The Crimson Armada was in chaos. They had never faced an enemy that came inside their own vessels. "Shuttle 2 to Stellar Dawn," came a voice. "We've reached the engine room. Tony, how do we shut this thing down?" "Look for the main power coupling," Tony replied from another ship. "It should be a big crystal thing. Hit it with anything you can find." One by one, the enemy ships began to lose power. Their weapons went offline. Their shields failed. The humans were like a virus spreading through the fleet, shutting down everything they touched. "Admiral Zexter is trying to communicate," Lisa said. "Put him on screen." The reptilian face appeared again, but now it looked angry and confused. "What are you doing? This is not how space battles work." "We're not fighting a space battle," Jake said. "We're fighting a human battle. You are inside our ships. How did you get past our defenses?" "What defenses?" "You have big guns that point outward. You never thought someone might come inside." Zexter's eyes blazed with fury. "You fight like cowards, like insects." "We fight like humans," Jake said. "We fight to win." Another enemy ship went dark. Then, another. A massive fleet that had been destroying a planet minutes before was now helpless. Their own size worked against them. They were too big to fight enemies that were already inside. "Captain," came Betty Wright's voice, "we've secured the second ship. The crew has surrendered." "Shuttle 5 here," said another voice. "This ship is ours. They're asking for mercy." Jake looked at the tactical display. 8 of the 12 enemy ships were now under human control. The other 4 were trying to retreat, but their engines were damaged. "Admiral," Jake said to Zexter, "I think it's time we discussed terms." The alien admiral stared at him with hatred and amazement. "You have won this battle, Deathworlder. But how? Your ship is tiny. Your weapons are weak. How did you defeat an entire armada?" "We didn't fight." "Your armada," Jake said. "We fought your people. Ship to ship, you had us beaten. But person to person, room to room, we're harder to kill than you thought." Zexter was silent for a long moment. "What do you want? Leave this system. Never come back. Free any slaves you're carrying. And spread the word. The Kethmari are under human protection now. And if I refuse?" Jake smiled. "Then you'll find out what happens when humans really get angry." The alien admiral looked at his fleet. Half of it was in human hands. The other half was barely functioning. He had come to harvest a world, and instead he had learned the terrible lesson about the species called humans. "Very well," he said. "We will leave." As the Crimson Armada limped away from the Kethmari system, Jake felt something he had never felt before: pride, not just in himself, but in his entire species. They had faced impossible odds and won, not through superior firepower, but through superior spirit. The Stellar Dawn had done something amazing. They had saved a world, but Jake had a feeling this was just the beginning. The battle was not over. Jake knew that as soon as he saw the readings on Danny Price's sensor display. The Crimson Armada was retreating, but they were not beaten. 4 ships were still functional, and Admiral Zexter was not the type to give up easily. "Captain," Lisa said, "the Admiral is broadcasting to his remaining ships. Dr. Hayes is translating." "What's he saying?" Alan Hayes looked up from his computer. "He's calling for reinforcements. He says the humans are a threat to the entire galaxy. He wants every ship in the sector to come here." Jake's blood ran cold. "How many ships?" "From what I can understand, maybe 50, maybe more." The bridge went quiet. They had barely survived 12 ships. 50 was impossible. "How long do we have?" Jake asked. 6 hours, maybe 8? Jake opened a channel to all the human teams still aboard the captured enemy ships. "All teams, this is the captain. We need to move fast. The enemy is calling for backup." Rick Turner's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain, we've got a problem. These ships are too big for us to control. We have maybe 20 people spread across 8 ships. Each ship has a crew of 300. Where are their crews now? Locked in their own cargo bays. But they're not happy about it." Betty Wright's voice joined the conversation. "Captain, I've been talking to some of the alien prisoners. They're not all bad. Some of them are just soldiers following orders. They don't like the slavery and planet killing any more than we do. Can we trust them? I don't know, but we might not have a choice." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "All teams start releasing the prisoners, but only the ones who are willing to help us." "Sir?" Danny Price looked shocked. "We're going to arm the enemy?" "We're going to arm the ones who want to stop being the enemy," Jake said. "Lisa, open a channel to all the captured ships." The main screen split into 8 sections, showing the bridges of the captured enemy vessels. Each one was now controlled by a small team of humans, but they were vastly outnumbered. "This is Captain Morrison," Jake said. "I'm speaking to all crew members on all ships. You have a choice. You can help us defend the Kathmari homeworld, or you can stay locked up while your friends die fighting us." The responses were mixed. Some aliens cursed at him. Others were silent. But a few, just a few, said they would help. "Why should we trust you?" asked one alien with blue skin and forearms. "Because," Jake said, "if you help us, you get to live. If you don't, you die when your reinforcements arrive and find humans controlling your ships." It was a harsh truth, but it worked. Over the next hour, about half of the alien prisoners agreed to help. They were tired of serving the Crimson Armada. They were tired of destroying worlds and enslaving people. Tony Rodriguez, the maintenance worker, was having the time of his life. He was aboard the largest enemy ship, figuring out how alien technology worked. "Captain, these engines are incredible. I think I can make them work even better." "What do you mean?" "Well, they're designed to be safe and reliable. But if you don't care about safety, you can push them much harder. Just like we did with the Stellar Dawn." "Do it." Amy Chun was still at her computer terminal, but now she was connected to the alien ship's computer systems. "Captain, I think I can link all the ships together. Make them work as one fleet instead of separate vessels." "A 12-year-old is going to command an alien fleet?" Danny asked. "She's good with computers," Jake said. "And right now she's the closest thing we have to a fleet commander." Dr. Susan Park was busy too. She had set up medical stations on 3 of the captured ships. Many of the aliens were injured, and she was treating them alongside the humans. "Captain, these alien medical systems are amazing. I think I can help some of our people who were hurt in the fighting." Maria Santos was proving to be invaluable. She was moving from ship to ship, talking to the alien crew members who had agreed to help. "Captain, I'm learning so much. These Aliens come from dozens of different worlds. They're not all conquerors. Some of them were conquered themselves. What do you mean? The Crimson Armada doesn't just recruit warriors. They take slaves from the worlds they conquer and force them to serve. Half of these crews are prisoners themselves. Jake felt a spark of hope. Are they willing to fight their former captors? Oh, yes. They have scores to settle. The hours passed. Quickly, the humans and their new alien allies worked together, preparing for the coming battle. It was strange to see humans and aliens working side by side, but it was also beautiful. They were united by a common goal, stopping the Crimson. Armada, Captain, Lisa said. I'm detecting ships approaching. A lot of ships. Jake looked at the tactical display. 47 enemy vessels were coming toward them. Each one was a warship, built for battle. The humans had 8 captured ships and 1 luxury cruise liner. All ships. This is Captain Morrison. The enemy is almost here. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every world the Crimson Armada has attacked. We're fighting for every person they've enslaved. Stellar Dawn, this is Rick Turner aboard the flagship. We're ready for battle. Betty Wright here. My crew is ready to fight. Tony Rodriguez reporting. Engines are running hot, but they're running. One by one, the other ships reported in. 8 captured enemy vessels, now crewed by humans and rebel aliens. It was the strangest fleet in Galactic history. Amy, Jake said, are you ready to coordinate the fleet? The 12-year-old girl nodded. I've been playing fleet command games for years. This is just like that, except people might die. Don't think about that, Jake said gently. Just think about winning. The enemy fleet arrived like a wave of death. 47 warships, each one bristling with weapons. Their commander was Admiral Creether, Zexther's second in command. He was even more vicious than his superior. Human vessel, came the transmission. You are surrounded. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Jake looked at his ragged fleet. 8 ships crewed by humans and rebels. 1 luxury cruise liner. Against 47 warships. The odds were even worse than before. This is Captain Morrison, Jake said. We reject your surrender demand, and we have a message for you. What message? You picked the wrong species to mess with. A battle began immediately. The enemy fleet attacked with overwhelming force. But Amy Chun's coordination was perfect. The human-led ships moved like a single organism, always in the right place at the right time. Enemy ships are trying to surround us, Amy reported, moving to counter position. Tony, I need more speed from the engines, Jake said. You got it, Captain. But we're running way beyond safe limits. Safety is overrated. The battle was fierce. The human ships were outnumbered, but they were not outfought. Every human aboard those ships was fighting for something bigger than themselves. Every alien rebel was fighting for freedom. Captain, Rick Turner's voice came over the comm. We're taking heavy damage, but we're giving as good as we get. Betty right here. We've disabled 3 enemy ships, but they're targeting us hard. The fighting went on for hours. Ships were damaged. People were killed. But slowly, impossibly, the tide began to turn. The enemy fleet was larger, but the human-led fleet was smarter. They used tactics the aliens had never seen. They coordinated attacks from multiple directions. They used damaged ships as weapons, ramming them into enemy vessels. Captain, Amy said, her young voice steady despite the chaos. I'm seeing a pattern in their formation. They always keep their command ship in the center. If we can reach it ... we can cut off their coordination, Jake finished. Do it. What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for generations. 8 ships led by a 12-year-old. Human girl, punched through the center of a 47-ship fleet. They moved with precision that seemed impossible. Every shot was coordinated. Every maneuver was perfect. The human ships reached Admiral Creether's flagship, just as Tony Rodriguez made his final modification to their engines. "Captain, I can give you one massive burst of speed, but after that, we're dead in space." "Do." The flagship rammed directly into the enemy command ship. The collision was devastating. But as the two ships locked together, something amazing happened. Human boarding parties, led by Betty Wright, stormed onto the enemy bridge. Of humans fighting hand-to-hand in the corridors of the flagship broke the enemy spirit. These were supposed to be soft creatures from a luxury cruise ship. Instead, they fought like demons. They used improvised weapons and tactics that no military manual had ever described. "This is Admiral Creether," came a broken transmission. I surrender. Call off your warriors." The remaining enemy ships stopped firing. Across the fleet, alien commanders were seeing the same thing. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought with a determination that was terrifying. They fought as if the fate of the universe depended on them. "Captain Morrison," Creether said when Jake appeared on his bridge. "What are you?" Jake looked at the alien admiral. He was a large creature with gray skin and multiple arms. He looked confused and frightened. "We're humans," Jake said simply. "We're the people who answer distress calls." "But how? How did you coordinate such tactics? Your ships moved as one mind." Jake smiled. "We've been fighting together for thousands of years. On our world, if you don't work together, you die. We learn to trust each other completely." "And the child who commanded your fleet?" "That's Amy. She's 12 years old." Creether's eyes went wide. "A child commanded this battle?" "Humans start learning. 3 months after the Battle of Kethmari, the universe was a different place." Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Stellar. Dawn, looking out at something that would have been impossible before. A mixed fleet of human and alien ships working together. The luxury cruise liner had been converted into a command ship. Her ballrooms were now strategy centers. Her dining halls were meeting rooms where humans and aliens planned joint operations. Her passenger cabins housed diplomats from a dozen different worlds. "Captain," Lisa Banks said, "we're getting another distress call. This one is from the Zephyr system, a species called the Vortani. They're under attack by something called the Iron Brotherhood." Jake nodded. It was the 15th distress call this month. Word had spread across the galaxy about what humans could do. Every oppressed species was asking for help. "What do we know about the Vortani?" Dr. Alan Hayes looked up from his translation work. "They're a peaceful species, like the Kethmari. They build beautiful cities and create art. The Iron Brotherhood wants to strip mine their world for rare metals." "How many ships does the Brotherhood have?" 23 warships, said Danny Price, reading the intelligence reports. "But Captain, we're already stretched thin. We have operations going on in 6 different systems." It was true. The human fleet had grown, but not fast enough. Earth Command had sent 12 military vessels to help, but they were still outnumbered everywhere they went. The galaxy was a big place, and there were a lot of bullies in it. "Sir," said Amy Chun, who was now officially the fleet's tactical coordinator despite being only 12 years old, "I have an idea." Jake smiled. Amy's ideas had saved them many times. "What is it?" "We don't need to fight every battle ourselves. We need to teach other people how to fight back. Explain." Amy brought up a holographic display of the galaxy. Red dots showed systems under attack. Blue dots showed systems the humans had helped. "Look at the pattern. Every time we save a world, their neighbors get attacked next. The bad guys are moving faster than we can respond. So what do you suggest? We teach the good guys how to fight like humans. We show them our tactics. We helped them build their own defenses. Betty Wright, who is now Admiral Wright of the Human Defense Corps, nodded approvingly. The girl has a point. We can't be everywhere at once, but we can multiply our effectiveness. Jake looked at the display. Amy was right. They were playing defense, always responding to attacks. They needed to change the game. All right, he said. Let's try something different. Lisa, send a message to all the species we've helped. Tell them we want to form an alliance. Not just for mutual defense, but for mutual offense. Offense, sir? We're going to take the fight to the bullies. Over the next weeks, representatives from dozens of worlds came to the Stellar Dawn. The Kethmari sent their best engineers. The Vortani sent their artists, who turned out to be excellent at designing camouflage and deception tactics. The Helix people sent their mathematicians, who could calculate hyperspace jumps better than any computer. But the most important meeting was with the former members of the Crimson Armada. Admiral Zexter himself came aboard the Stellar Dawn. The reptilian warrior looked different now. His scales were duller, his eyes less fierce. Defeat had changed him. Human captain, he said, I have come to make a proposal. I'm listening. My people, the Saurian Empire, have been warriors for 1,000 years. We have conquered because we believed it made us strong. But you have shown us something we never understood, which is strength comes from protecting, not from conquering. I want to offer the services of my fleet to your alliance. Jake was stunned. You want to join us? We want to learn from you. We want to become protectors instead of destroyers. It was a risk. The Saurian Empire had been one of the most feared military forces in the galaxy. But Jake remembered something. Humans were good at turning enemies into friends. All right, he said. But you understand, if you betray us, then you will destroy us completely, Zexter said. I have seen what humans can do. I have no desire to be your enemy again. The Alliance of Free Worlds was born in the main ballroom of a luxury cruise ship. 50 species signed the founding charter. Their goal was simple. No world would stand alone against aggression. Attack one, fight all. But the real power of the Alliance was not in its numbers. It was in its philosophy. Humans had taught the galaxy something new, that fighting for others was more powerful than fighting for yourself. Rick Turner was now training alien pilots in human tactics. Remember, he told a class of 6 armed Helix cadets, you don't fight to destroy the enemy. You fight to save your friends. That makes all the difference. Dr. Susan Park was working with alien doctors to set up medical centers across the galaxy. Every species has different biology, she explained to her students, but the desire to heal is universal. Tony Rodriguez was the most popular human in the galaxy. His engineering modifications had been copied by 100 different species. Ships across the galaxy now ran on Rodriguez drives, engines that could be pushed far beyond their design limits when lives were at stake. Maria Santos had become the Alliance's chief diplomat. She spoke 47 alien languages now and was learning more every day. The secret, she told new diplomats, is to remember that everyone wants the same things: safety for their families, freedom to live their lives, and hope for the future. It was Amy Chun who had become the legend. The 12-year-old human girl who had coordinated the Battle of Kethmari was now the Alliance's supreme tactical commander. Military academies across the galaxy studied her strategies. Her picture hung in the halls of 1,000 worlds. How does it feel, a reporter asked her, to be the most famous child in the galaxy? Amy shrugged. I just play the game better than most people. What game? The strategy game. Except instead of winning points, we save lives. The Alliance's first major operation was the liberation of the Andorian cluster. 12 worlds were under siege by the Void Consortium, a group of mechanical beings who wanted to turn all organic life into machine components. The old way would have been to send a massive fleet to fight ship-to-ship battles. But humans had taught the galaxy a better way. Instead, small teams of Alliance operatives infiltrated each enemy ship. Humans led the boarding parties, but they were supported by aliens who brought their own unique skills. Kethmari engineers disabled enemy systems. Saurian warriors provided muscle. Helix mathematicians calculated the perfect timing for each assault. The Void Consortium was expecting a conventional war. They got something completely different. Their ships were captured from the inside. Their commanders were taken prisoner. Before they could react, the 12 worlds were liberated in 6 hours. "This is impossible," said the Void Consortium's Central Intelligence when it was finally captured. "How did organic beings coordinate such an assault?" "We learned from the humans," said Zexter, who had led one of the assault teams. "We learned that working together makes us stronger than the sum of our parts." Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the Stellar Dawn, looking out at the Alliance fleet. Hundreds of ships from dozens of worlds, all working together. It was beautiful. "Captain," Lisa said, joining him at the window, "Earth Command is asking when you're coming home." Jake smiled. "Tell them we are home. Wherever we're needed, that's home." "And where are we needed next?" "Everywhere," Jake said. "The galaxy is a big place, and there are still bullies out there. But now they know something they didn't know before." "What's that?" "They know that when they attack innocent people, the humans are coming. And we're not coming alone." The Stellar Dawn set course for the next crisis, the next world that needed help, the next impossible fight that humans would somehow find a way to win. Because that's what humans did. They answered distress calls. They protected the innocent. They turned enemies into friends, and friends into family. The galaxy had learned what it meant to be human. And the galaxy would never be the same. In the depths of space, new distress calls were already being transmitted. And somewhere, humans were listening, ready to answer the call, ready to show the universe once again that no one fights alone when humanity stands watch. The age of human protection had begun, and it would last forever.